Man, I did not expect to make this video at all. So last night I saw Disclosure Day by the man himself, Steven Spielberg, who has made like some of the greatest movies ever. I was kind of dreading, but also like morbidly curious about this because at first I was like, oh my gosh, great. Like Spielberg is kind of going back to his roots. I thought Spielberg revisiting an old concept meant he was going to be coming from a very new place. And that was interesting to me. My first thought was the title. It's a nitpick, but I care about titles a lot. And that one just did not like work for me at all. I was enthusiastic at first when like the first trailer came out. And then the more and more I learned about the movie, the less interested I got, because they would show very stereotypical imagery. They would show like crop circles, UFO, standard UFOs. The posters looked very strange. I was keeping my hopes up because of the way UFOs and UFO sightings have sort of been treated in recent memory. We've already had 2 instances where the US government has dumped UFO papers and random crap that is frankly used as a distraction. And I was of the opinion that maybe this movie would comment on that. Maybe it would sort of mislead you and say like, oh, the aliens, the imagery is so blatant and overdone because it's trying to mislead you. It's about disclosure, so there's going to be a secret, and it's not about aliens at all. It's going to be about the concept of truth and how like we can't believe anything anymore, and we're in this era of AI. Unfortunately, that is completely not the case. It's if you see the trailers, that is exactly what the movie is. It is not misleading you at all, which is ironic. Not ironic. It's like unironic because it's called Disclosure. It's leaving all the cards on the table. It's really not tricking you at all. There's not a single like diversion of how you think the narrative is going to go. It's a very straightforward narrative. And oh my gosh, I just remembered that the opening image, literally the first shot of the movie, you see the title, and then the first shot is a UFC wrestler, like I think, or just a wrestler, grabbing like the camera. He's literally like right like this, and he's throwing it around and like stomping on it and like punching it. It was like, at first I was like, oh, is this a wrestling movie? Like I knew it wasn't, but in hindsight, it feels like such a fitting metaphor for the movie as a whole. Like, I'm gonna bash you over the head with just stuff. Like, I'm just gonna hit you over the head. I saw it with some of my friends, and the general consensus is like, this is an interesting idea. Why is it an action movie? What if this was a dark thriller? What if this was, it starts off already in the middle of things. Bad guys are after you, the government's after you. This guy Josh O'Connor and his girlfriend's just like kidnapped off street, and he's like, okay, and then he gets out because he has alien tech, and then it becomes a cat and mouse chase of like over and over, like bashing you over the head. It's like, okay, we escaped, oh they found us, we escaped, oh they found us, we escaped, oh they found us, like hurry up, and just keep like stumbling your way. It felt like The Rise of Skywalker, ironically. Rey and everyone is like running constantly from Kylo Ren, and he just keeps using his like the Force as sort of like a magic trick to keep like finding information, except instead of the Force it's like alien tech. There was like, I leaned over to my friend who's like a huge Star Wars fan. At first I was like, man, there's like no music in this whole movie. I thought John Williams did this. And then there was a car chase, and then this very familiar soundtrack kicks in, and I leaned over and I go, doesn't this sound like when Obi-Wan's chasing General Grievous? And he was like, oh, I know what you're talking about. It seemed just like John Williams' greatest hits recycled and thrown in the background. I'm sorry, this soundtrack was not good. It felt so trite, and like we had already done this, we had already been here. I don't know, man. I did not like how it looked. I hated the lens flares. I think the acting was directed very one note, and I thought the screenplay was horrendously overdone. I heard that David Kopp had like 42 drafts of this, and that could mean anything, but it felt to me that the idea got lost and it was just like trimmed down to just like a thread. The Spielberg action, it's Spielberg. He does Spielberg things. With my friends, we said as we were coming back, the comments it makes about religion or how this would actually be unveiled, how the world would actually react, is laughable. It has this vague theme about empathy and communication, language, and like how connecting with people can help, but it's just so vague. It doesn't seem to really solve any problems other than plot contrivances. They try to do this religious parallel but not even religious, it's specifically Catholics, which is very strange to me that you would single them out and not talk about anyone. There's specifically a nun, she's a nun who discerns out of the order, says, oh, this would change people's perception of God. And then now you're going to show a real divine being. And I was like, aliens are divine beings? When did we establish that? All I saw was just a bunch of random footage of like little green men or gray men. And I'm like, I get that those are like what's reported on. Spielberg said he's only going off what people reported. And I'm like, okay, fine. It's the stereotypical alien. But they show them like getting tortured in the lab. And I go, these are not divine beings. They're just little funny green men. Like, I'm sorry, but this is a guy in a suit. And then second of all, I go, no, I'm sorry, but if you know like C.S. Lewis, super devout Christian, wrote Narnia. Before Narnia, he wrote a trilogy of books called the Space Trilogy. It literally deals with what if aliens are real and God and Jesus are real? And how would that work still in the divine plan? The Vatican has said multiple things about like aliens, and they're quite open to the possibility. A lot of saints have said like, just because God saves us on earth doesn't mean that they don't rule out the possibility of other worlds. The Mormon Church is all about aliens. I think they would eat this movie up. But I would love for a movie to really get into like religious implications or existential implication of aliens existing, because I think a lot of people kind of do like say, yeah, there's no way we're alone in the universe. It's so big. People are very divided about this movie. There are people who absolutely loathe it, and there are people that really enjoyed it. My one friend said, who's been on the channel a few times,
oh yeah, totally,
that the movie predicates itself upon you already being someone who's kind of interested in this. And if you don't accept that premise, the movie doesn't do anything to help you. It doesn't care to lead you through, okay, like, why are aliens important? Like, why now? It's like, I don't really care. Like, sure, whatever. If aliens are real, like, great. But like, how do I pay my rent, you know? It's like, I don't care, because if they were real, okay, sure, like, my problems don't automatically drop. If you're interested in aliens, like, oh yeah, like, it feels like confirmation bias. I share an opinion with a few others online, especially like Stories of Old. I think he's an excellent channel. He has a great video, like, go watch it. He talks more about like the media and how media is perceived, but this one, I felt more about like relevance, which he talks about too, but that was the number one thing that was in my head. It's like, Spielberg, why are you making an alien movie now? Why are you doing this again? He said in multiple interviews that he personally believes in aliens, which is fine, like, I don't really care. But that also seems to be the only sentiment of this movie. It feels like the only point is to say, aliens are real, you should take them seriously.
Wouldn't it be wonderful for people to know all of this is true?
I not only just didn't like the movie on cinematic terms, but I felt coming out a horrible, bad taste in my mouth. There's an enormous plot point. Okay, this is a spoiler. There's a moment where Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor as children, they have to, this is so complicated. So Emily Blunt sort of like plot devices her way to find Josh O'Connor, rescues him because she has superpowers now, just knows things. Okay. And Josh O'Connor's friends who used to work for the government that are all now sort of like separated, they take them to his boss, or he's a guy that knows everything, quote unquote. And he's been building a house inside. She shows up and she's like, why did you build a giant house, a replica of my house here? Coleman Domingo's character, it never explains how he knows that information. And if it does, I did not catch it. And he does this in order to jog her memory of a specific date where she went missing. And when she realizes that, she has a traumatic response. She goes, no, I don't want to go back to that date. No, don't do it. And Josh O'Connor, but for some reason they don't build a replica of his house, so I don't get that because he doesn't seem to have like that traumatic memory the same way, but I don't get it. So never mind how he knows how to build her house, and it's like such astonishing detail. He does this in order to jog her memory of the day that she and Josh O'Connor were abducted as children. Okay, so we go into this flashback, and oh my gosh, these animals enter her space. They just walk through the walls. Then they sort of summon her as a child out. It's like there's like this deer, which you see in the posters, with a bird. And then when they take her out, they take her to this like house, which she refers to as the Hansel and Gretel house. The Hansel and Gretel house. That sounds evil. Because you know what that house is? That's the witch's house. That's the house where she lures kids in with candy in order to cook them in an oven. And so so I'm like, oh no, like this is horrible. And she's clearly traumatized, so this has to be evil. And so they take her to, the animals like take her to this place. And then as soon as she's inside, she's on an operating table. And then and Josh O'Connor's like next to her, him as a child. And then the aliens like put their fingers like on her face like that. And then they send their alien tech, which we've seen throughout the movie, like on their eye, and it highlights just one of their eyes. And it gives her like these superpowers to read people's minds. They give him powers to read math and whatever. And then when they snap out of it, she's suddenly like able to she's like unlocked the memory, and so she can now use this like alien stick, this Nintendo controller to like do different things with tech. It can like just like turn you invisible, like Harry Potter style. It can like power things back on. It can channel like electricity, and I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. But they come out of this seemingly fine. She has such a traumatic memory of it, but then she comes out, and it's like, oh wow, the aliens, we were chosen. Why was it so traumatic if it's like, why did you block this off? It's so the result automatically doesn't line up with like how they were reacting to it. Now, if you explain what I just told you, even simpler, the aliens abduct two children, they coerce them as animals and bring them into a space where they touch them, and the kids now have traumatic memories of it, which they block out of their mind. You know what that sounds like? That sounds pretty not okay to me. And so why, movie, why are you tricking me to try and convince me that this is a good thing after the fact? It was so disturbing and so problematic to me and this would actually be a more interesting take in the movie. It's just that UFOs are not the thing. And this is very funny that this happened recently. The US government actually dumped a bunch of UFO documents to distract from the Epstein files. Things that America has been clamoring for them to release. Mr. Spielberg, are you trying to draw a connection between the Jeffrey Epstein files and aliens? How then can you have any kind of grace with the aliens being good people trying to teach us empathy? The US government has always dumped alien files to distract from other things. If they're real, I don't really care. If they just paraded a bunch of these weird videos out on the news, on the internet, specifically the news channels, I don't know if people would buy it. I don't know if people would care. And you can't convince me, movie, that people would react to the level when they dump them on the news. People like stop in their places. They like pause in like airports and in streets and on the subway. And the idea is that this thing will bring people together. This revelation brings us closer together. The tagline on the poster says, "Believe what you see." And first of all, I go like, we live in AI. Like, you can't say that anymore. Like, people, you can't just like believe exactly what you see. I actually think Don't Look Up, a movie I don't like that much, does this point extremely well. That you can have blatantly, quote unquote, obvious data and footage, and people still wouldn't care. Or they blatantly would not believe it. Like, it doesn't matter if the aliens are real or fake. It's more about like truth. Like, what is truth? Which is actually a Bible quote, ironically. And then at the end, they trot out like a giant living alien who like sits up and is all wrinkly and disgusting, and like whispers something into their ears, and then Emily Blunt goes up and is about to, and she says, "Listen," and then cut to black. There was actually a kid in the back of the theater that shouted like, "To what?" And I was like, wow, that's so valid. Like, in some ways, I think kids like have better, more honest opinions than all of us. I mean, Spielberg's good at strong images. It's just, they're so strong that there's no room for interpretation. It seems like he was bludgeoning me over the head with images, but not anything that was like useful to help me. Any subtlety that he was trying to convey, it was out the window. It's like using so many conspiracy imagery. There's the eye, the Illuminati. I was half expecting them to tell me that the moon landing is fake or like the Earth is flat. I see these images and I go, are we endorsing conspiracy theory circles? This is a similar critique I have with Begonia, which is another one. And Begonia, I think, it was a way more enjoyable movie to watch. But I do think it suffers from kind of the same problem, which is why it also left a bad taste in my mouth in a different sense. In both of these movies, I felt the same cynicism about humanity. It's like the aliens are always the ones like superior, or like they have the superior technology and the intellect and they share empathy with us. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're saying humanity just like has no capability of doing that at all? Like, yeah, we suck and we have like we've done terrible things, but we've done great things too. There are no aliens that did that for us. It's just, it feels especially like an anti-human film, an like empathy isn't a thing that we can do. It's a thing that has to be given to us from aliens, like specifically aliens, like not God, because they talk about God and the Christian God specifically in this movie. And so you can't make a connection that aliens are God because they've already separated those two ideas. You can't make that argument. There's a moment where Emily Blunt uses her mind powers to sort of like connect with all of the people, and she like returns to the newsroom where she works at the end with her superpowers, and suddenly she like understands everyone. It's like, I'm so sorry about this, and then she gives her advice about like emotional advice, and I was so disturbed. I was like, get out of my head. You do not deserve to know that information. That is private information. It reminds me of the Crystal Skull, where at the end, like all the aliens, like spoiler alert, they like merge into like one being. And I was like, this feels like that idea, but for human beings. Well, all of our minds sort of start to share our trauma and empathy until we just merge and become like this conglomeration and become what Emily Blunt is, of like, I don't feel like I'm like an individual anymore. That's horrifying. That's terrible. Like, I'm sorry, but this is not empathy. This is amorphous, like Evangelion goo of just we all become the same. And there's no individuality. It's just, we're not supposed to just automatically understand each other. That's not human. It's human to communicate and wrestle with our own like weakness and work through it with other people. Because it's about the journey of getting through what weighs us down. Because I'm a writer, I'm going to give you some suggestions. Number 1, you do what I thought it was, and that all the blatant alien imagery was all a cover for something worse. That would be compelling and very relevant. What you can't do is make aliens a metaphor for whatever is like evil in the government. You can't do that because then it removes guilt from the actual people doing the whatever's going on. It's just like the way you did it in the movie, you can't do that. Like aliens abducting people, that's bad. That's evil, wrong. Like, why are we saying that they're okay for doing this. You can't do that. Like, you can't have the aliens be admonished because the U.S. government tortured them. If it's like, oh yeah, but like we wouldn't listen to them, or like we were given a gift. I'm like, okay, like I thought like we cared about consent, right? Secondly, what if you say you go through all of this, aliens are real, and then people go, oh, like it's CGI, oh, it's AI, and then they go right back to their business. You can disclose whatever you want, but it doesn't matter. And then here's my third one. And so the aliens seem to trust humanity so much that they just waltz right into everything, and then they get kidnapped and tortured by the U.S. government. And then they meet the aliens at the end, and then we go, oh my gosh, like now everyone knows. And then the aliens know, we've also learned something. We've learned that humans are not trustworthy. And then, spoiler for Begonia, and the aliens just like wipe us all out. My friend made a really funny point of where he said, all the footage of the aliens is just like them crashing over and over. Like we find like dead bodies of aliens. And he said, it makes them just all look incompetent. My other idea that my friends talked about, what if it wasn't an action movie? What was a mystery drama, like a political thriller, a crime thriller, or a science fiction mystery? You can have like a chase or two, but you're diving into the government files and you're going through all of them, and your main character's discovering that these are real. Like, what if it started with him at the desk and he's like learning all this stuff, and he's like, what the heck? And he's trying to convince other people, but they don't believe him, and then it just keeps going and going and going. And then by the end, like, you meet the aliens, and then you can do one of the endings that I said. Another movie idea, what if they disclose earlier in the movie? Beginning, it could be the inciting incident, 30 minutes in, or like halfway through, you could do that. It's like, oh, we discovered the aliens are real, we're gonna dump them online. And then the whole world like goes into chaos. You don't even need to necessarily have aliens in the movie. You can have them show up like at the end, because I think people are expecting that. But you can have a lot of it just be like that, thinking through the ideas and like wrestling with those ideas that Spielberg wants to talk about. I already expected not really to like this movie just because it seemed on the surface not my forte. Having seen the movie, it just feels so out of touch. I think it's a miserable watch. I think it's boring. I did not come away feeling enthusiastic or in wonder or the desire to befriend my fellow human. Like, I just felt horrible. It's the fact that Spielberg is so good at movies that makes this kind of worse. It was made so well, but had such a disturbing message. And if you don't think it's disturbing, then at least half done. Please disagree with me. Like, please talk about it in the comments. Like, I want to hear your opinions. I want to read it, and I want to like start a conversation. And I don't like making just like highly negative reviews, but I just like can't anti-recommend a movie stronger than this. This is one of those films that I was so appalled by. And yeah, go watch Obsession and The Backrooms. Goodbye. We have a Diana in the Forest, cat and mouse plot, two people in different places communicate with each other in order to get information out. Oh, and then it ends with they go to meet the big green wrinkly old man. Okay. Oh, and War of the Rising Skywalker begins with Palpatine like declares an announcement on the galaxy that he's back. This movie like ends with the declaration that the aliens are real. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a Rise of Skywalker all over again.